When you do break down and you do show weakness, people treat you differently.
Well, perhaps we should stop framing it as weakness then.
It's just a natural thing. Like, we're not supposed to see men break down. We're not supposed to see men cry.
Is it actually natural or is it societal programming?
If I ever saw like my dad break down and cry and be like, I couldn't handle this, I'd be like, what? What is he talking about?
If my father broke down in front of me, it would make him human.
I expect you to be the leader.
So you're choosing to make your expectation of him his problem. Is it not possible to take time out to sit in the difficult moment that you're experiencing, to release these said emotions out in a healthy manner? You have that release of relief, you process the moment and work towards coming to a plan in order to implement moving forward. Choosing to ignore it and not deal with it, it will just sit there and pile up.
I would lose like a little bit of respect.
Are you capable of possessing any compassion and empathy?
And I think, maybe my dad wasn't the man I always thought he was, okay?
And where did this idea of a man come from to you? Were you programmed to think of how a man should be, or was it natural? If you broke down crying in front of your father and he looked at you and said, I've lost all respect for you, instead of helping you and supporting you, how would that make you feel? If you're fortunate enough to have a loving, supporting father, would you not want to support him like he supported you?
One thing you're going to get all the time, you're going to get this in your ear, talk about it to somebody, let your emotions out, let your feelings out, etc. as a man.
Yes, you should.
Logically on the surface, it sounds like a great idea.
The least logical thinking people out there these days are men with microphones.
Because when you bottle shit up, it hurts. There's a physical pain where you're like, fuck, I just want to shout, tell somebody, I just want to go and like discuss this with somebody and get this off my chest.
Keep note of what he's just said here, because we're going to come back to this at the end of the video.
And it seems like a great idea at the time. As soon as you do it, you almost regret it. As a man, you're like, fuck, I've just shown people my weakness. I've just shown that I'm struggling.
Yes, but that's only because for the longest time we've diagnosed men opening up and expressing their struggles as showing weakness. The belief is it's perceived that this is a thing that women do. And in by doing so, we are inadvertently becoming less of a man, which leads us to feel guilt and shame for it.
I've told people, and then I've just been given less respect in the family. If we leave you alone, are you okay? You're not going to commit suicide, are you? Like, people don't trust you with things.
What you just described was people showing genuine concern for your well-being.
It's almost like, this guy's a fucking idiot. They don't see you as that high-level individual.
You are holding up way too many assumptions that I'm not even sure you can prove of what people think of you. Everybody struggles. It's inevitable as a human being you will go through struggles. People sometimes struggle with thinking that they don't have any struggles, so they feel guilty for not having any struggles. And pushing the expectation that men are supposed to handle struggles without any dramas is a harmful rhetoric.
And if you were to say to a woman, I just can't handle this, it's just getting to me, the vagina just dries up.
We know that this is a sweeping generalization and a blanket statement.
You get like one of these or two of these before she starts going, he's a bum. He can't deal with life. That's not who I want.
He is projecting so many assumptions of what other people think of him. Do you have any evidence of this?
I'll help you out once, everybody has a bad moment. I love you, babe, that sort of thing. Second time, it's like, okay, this is the last time now, fix your shit. Third time, girls are just like, ugh, is he even a man?
Look, I have seen plenty of comments from men and plenty of stories from men online expressing that when they opened up to a woman, mind you, I never have the context of what they mean by opening up, that she quote unquote lost respect and attraction for him and left it. And to those men I say, good fucking riddance. You don't need a woman like that in your life. I believe taking care of your mental health as a man is way more important than whether or not a woman finds you attractive.
So next time you're feeling weak and low,
I really hate how he calls it being weak and low. Do you think it's weak and low? Or we're just going to hide behind the excuse of blaming it on that's what society thinks? You're choosing to think this way. Society isn't holding you at gunpoint.
and you want to tell somebody, you want to express your emotions and whatnot.
Remember earlier in the video where he described how bottling things up is like a physical pain?
I promise you, just let that shit burn on the inside.
His advice, just cope with it.
As soon as you do, people will think you're weak, so just let it burn on the inside.
I got a question. If someone was to open up and confide to you about their struggles, would you see them as weak? Or is it only weak when you do it? People have found the courage to put their trust and faith in you to open up and confide in you about their struggles, and your first thought is, oh, they're weak. It looks like compassion and empathy has never entered the chat.
Deal with it, just set an end point, like, okay, on this date, things will probably be a lot better by then, I'm just going to work towards it.
Oh yeah, what happens when you get there and you're still struggling with it? Because essentially all you've done is suppressed it and tried to ignore it.
Okay, let's get it done. Things will be better by then.
Look, I have some understanding to men who are worried about opening up to their partner because they fear it'll affect her attraction to him. But you're not even encouraging men to open up to each other. Do you have no compassion and want to support your male friends at all? If one of your male friends opened up to you about something he was struggling with, would you see him as weak? Would you tell him to snap out of it, stop being weak and be a man because society has an expectation of us men? This concept of this ideal man that so many men are holding on to doesn't serve any of us. And then when we don't live up to this unrealistic expectation, we just beat ourselves up and make ourselves feel worse about it.
If women moan and they're like, oh, things are tough, can't be bothered, I'm stressed. As a man, we're almost like, it's fine, babe, I'll look after you, I'll take you on holiday. Come on, take the weekend off. I'll treat you.
Ladies, you have the floor. Let me know in the comments. Has that been your experience?
As a man, it's almost like, I don't want to hear that shit. I don't want to hear you moaning. Like, ugh, great. Just complaining all the time. This is the life I dreamed of having.
Opening up and complaining about things are not the same thing. I'm questioning whether it's women that have a problem with this or it's you. I mean, clearly you're showcasing some resentment towards women.
Just a female privilege. We don't get that privilege, guys.
This is victim mentality thinking. Does it have to be that way? Who's forcing it to be that way? What's infuriating is when you get men like this who hide behind the gripe of men's mental health just as an excuse to trash women.
It's shitty in a sense, but you will thank yourself in 6 months or a year or whatever it might be when you look back and go, nobody knew. Nobody had any idea what I was going through. So glad I kept that to myself.
But you just admitted that you've struggled in the past, but even though you didn't tell anyone, you're telling us now. In your head, wouldn't that make you weak and we should lose respect for you now? And I'm sure there are plenty of people upon reflection who opened up to someone at a time when they were struggling, have looked back and thought, I'm so glad that I did that. I've grown so much as a person. Every single person that has lost someone to suicide, what do they all say? I wish they opened up to me. I wish they talked to me. I wish they told me what they were going through.
Listen, if you're a man and you've got weight on your shoulders and you think the only way you can solve this by killing yourself, please speak to someone. I know I'd rather me mate cry on my shoulder than go to his funeral next week.
I've done both, like I said, and it works so much better when you just stay silent and just keep your head down and just fucking crack on with it.
This is all for some image of a man that you think that you have to uphold that no one's forcing you to uphold. This is just such awful advice. It honestly just sounds like you opened up to the wrong people, which is unfortunate, and now you're scared to ever do it again. And you're choosing to teach other men to do the same as you. Your stance is driven by fear. I've sat in circles of men expressing their pain. I've sat with male friends of mine who've cried their eyes out to me. I've never seen them as weak and I've never lost respect for them. I'm going to end with a clip from a TED Talk by Tony Porter. It's called A Call to Men. He talks about this concept of the man box, this representation of this old notion of how men are expected to be. I recommend checking out the full TED Talk on YouTube. I'm just going to play the final snippet here.
That it's okay to not be dominating. That it's okay to have feelings and emotions. That it's okay to promote equality. That it's okay to have women who are just friends and that's it. That it's okay to be whole. That my liberation as a man is tied to your liberation as a woman. I asked a 9-year-old boy, what would life be like for you if you didn't have to adhere to this man box? He said to me, I would be free. Thank you, folks.
So in all honesty, you can take that harmful expectation of this idea of what it means to be a man and shove it up your ass. Because I want to be free. I wish to be free of this man box, and that's what I'm actively pursuing. I encourage all men to do the same.